Hey y'all, let's create something really cute for the fall season using this little 6-inch grapevine wreath. I picked this up in the Christmas craft section at Hobby Lobby, but you can find them many different places. And then I'm repurposing a little piece of cardboard I had, and I just traced the outside of the circle, the grapevine wreath. These are not a perfect circle, so your circle that you cut out will look a little wonky, but you can do this any number of ways. And actually, this is a variation of one of my favorite projects where I use some embossed cardstock to put behind the grapevine wreath, but for this version, I'm going to decoupage a napkin design onto the circle. To work with the color of the napkin, I did go ahead and paint the cardboard like an off-white creamy color. And then once that was dry, I decoupaged with a little Mod Podge and then sealed with a little bit more Mod Podge and got that all nice and dry before I move on to using a little bit of antiquing wax. This is just to add a little bit of antique style, and it's my preference and style, but you can do whatever you like. So I know that some of it's going to get covered up with the grapevine, but then I'll be able to see some of that peeking through around the edges, and I just think it adds a lot of character. And I'm getting the stem. This is a pumpkin, if you haven't guessed. It's basically make a pumpkin out of anything circle season, right? But this is a really unique idea, and you can really get creative with it and put your own spin on it. So I went ahead and put some glue around that cardboard to get it attached to the grapevine wreath. And then here you see me using a little pencil to open up the weaves of that grapevine wreath, and it helps me get my stem in there. Now this is just like a little knob or a little wood finial that I had in my stash, and I inked that with the same color that I used around the edges of the napkin design, and then I'm using that to just do the back of it to give it a little bit more of a finished look. And now it's time for embellishing. I'm going to go ahead and use some Spanish moss, some hot glue in that in place. And I'll put a little bit. The Spanish moss is great. I love a really pretty layered look. I think it adds a lot of interest. So I'm just going to keep layering on things until I'm happy. I've got some of my favorite greenery from Hobby Lobby. I'm cutting off some wire pieces of it for the tendrils. And then I'm cutting off the greenery. This gives it, to me, really plays on the style of the napkin. It has a real woodlands feel. I did pick up these napkins, by the way, from TJ Maxx. I know they've been at Home Goods, Marshalls, and you can maybe even find them on Amazon. So I'm just hot gluing all of these little embellishments in place, and then we'll finish it off with a pretty little simple fabric bow as well. And I'm just going to use some Osnaburg muslin. I'm going to lay down one ripped piece first. That'll be my faux tails. And then I'm just winding some extra scrap that I had of the same fabric to create a little bit of a loop bow, just a real shabby bow, tying that off in the center. And then I will glue that in place. So now it looks like we have a little bow with tails. And lastly, I'm using a really neat embellishment. A sweet friend in my Creative Nest group had shared a project she made, and we all noticed how pretty the little star anise looked on there as an embellishment. Maybe use it in place of like a little button or a bell or whatever you would put there. And I think it just makes the perfect little fall touch. And you'll find those in the grocery store on the spice aisle. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you're inspired by this project and you'll make it in your own very special way. Bye-bye, y'all.